Betrayal, the wound that never fully heals. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with your whole heart? Not just hurt, I mean truly betrayed, in a way that made your stomach drop, your chest tighten, and suddenly the world felt like a much colder place. Betrayal isn't just pain, it's a wound that slices deeper than any physical injury ever could. And unlike a bruise or a broken bone, this one doesn't fade with time. It lingers, quietly. It changes how we see people, how we see love, and even how we see ourselves. And here's the truth. There are some betrayals that we should never, ever forgive. Not because we're vengeful, not because we're bitter, but because forgiving them would mean betraying ourselves. The Stoic philosophers Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they didn't believe in clinging to pain. They taught us to seek peace, not revenge, to accept life as it is, not as we wish it to be. But they also knew there were lines, and once those lines were crossed, some people simply no longer belonged in your life. Not all mistakes are equal. Some betrayals cut to the core of trust and integrity, the very values that hold relationships together. And when someone breaks that foundation, they aren't just breaking a promise, they're tearing apart the fabric of connection. You see, trust isn't just given, it's earned over time, through honesty, loyalty, consistency. And when it's violated, something inside of us shifts. We start to question everything, not just the other person, but our judgment, our worth, our boundaries. That's why today, we're not going to talk about small mistakes, miscommunications, or flaws we all have. We're going to talk about the three most severe forms of betrayal, the ones that Stoic wisdom tells us we must never ignore, excuse, or welcome back. Because when you let these betrayals slide, you're not being noble. You're not taking the high road. You're teaching yourself that your boundaries don't matter, that your self-worth can be bargained, that pain is a price you're willing to pay for false peace. But what if I told you that walking away, not with anger, but with clarity, could be the most powerful act of strength you'll ever make? In this video, we're going to break down these three betrayals that deserve no second chances. Not because you're cold-hearted, but because you finally realize your heart is worth protecting. So take a deep breath, and let's begin the journey toward unshakable emotional resilience, guided by timeless Stoic wisdom and powered by your own self-respect. Disloyalty, the core betrayal of trust. Let's talk about something that cuts deeper than we often admit. Disloyalty. Not the kind that comes from strangers, but the kind that comes from someone you let all the way in, someone you never thought would turn their back on you. Loyalty isn't just a nice trait, it's the glue that holds every real relationship together. Without it, there's no trust. Without trust, there's no safety. And without safety, there's no space for love, friendship, or even basic respect to grow. Now, here's the hard truth. When someone betrays your loyalty, they didn't slip up. They made a choice, a deliberate decision to prioritize their own needs, desires, or ego over their commitment to you. Maybe it was a friend who smiled to your face but talked behind your back. Maybe it was a partner who broke the vow of fidelity. Maybe it was family, someone who should have protected you but instead chose what was convenient for them. And when that happens, it shakes something at your core, because it's not just about what they did, it's about what it reveals. It shows you who they really are. And more importantly, it forces you to confront who you are and what you will tolerate. Now, Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to lash out or seek revenge. It teaches us to act with clarity, to detach from pain, accept truth as it is, and remove what no longer serves us. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." That means your inner circle should be filled with people who challenge you to rise, not drag you through cycles of doubt and disrespect. You see, forgiving disloyalty isn't always noble. Sometimes it's a form of self-betrayal. Because if someone shows you, not once but repeatedly, that your trust doesn't matter to them, what message are you sending when you keep letting them back in? You're telling them there are no consequences. You're telling yourself that your own standards don't matter. And over time, you start to shrink your boundaries just to keep them close. But here's what I believe, and what the Stoics remind us. It's far better to walk alone in truth than to walk with someone who's already walked away from you in spirit. The strongest move you can make isn't confrontation, it's closure. You don't need to yell, you don't need to explain, you just need to walk away with dignity and without looking back. If someone cannot remain loyal in your absence, they never deserved your presence to begin with. Deception, the poison that destroys relationships. Let me ask you this. How many times have you looked back on a relationship, a friendship, a romance, a business partnership, and realized the lie was there all along? Maybe not loud, maybe not obvious, but hidden, like a crack beneath the surface, quiet, growing, and eventually it shattered everything. Here's the thing about lies. They're not just words, they're weapons. And once they're used, they don't just cut through facts, they cut through trust, through connection, through the very foundation of what keeps people together. A lie isn't just about hiding the truth, it's about manipulating your sense of reality. It's about someone making a decision, a conscious one, to control the narrative, to protect themselves, to gain something at your expense. And that's what makes deception so dangerous. Because once you see it, it doesn't just change how you see them, it changes how you see everything they ever said, did, or promised. In Stoic philosophy, truth isn't optional, it's essential. Without it, there can be no clarity. Without clarity, no peace. And without peace, you're just surviving relationships, not living them. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, once wrote, "A dishonest man spreads falsehoods, first to others, then to himself." Liars often believe their own stories. They build castles on sand and convince themselves it's stone. But here's the twist. Just because they live in that illusion doesn't mean you have to. And yet so many of us stay. We rationalize. We say, it was just one lie, or they had their reasons. But let me ask you, when did a single lie ever stay a single lie? Deception doesn't live alone. It brings suspicion, doubt, second guessing. And those things?
Broken trust, the irreparable damage. Let's talk about one of the most painful turning points in any relationship, broken trust. Trust isn't just a nice to have. It's the foundation, the invisible thread that holds people together. And once it's broken, everything changes. We often hear, if they apologize, things can go back to normal. But deep down, we know that's not how it works. Because once trust is broken, the relationship as you knew it no longer exists. It's like shattering a mirror. No matter how carefully you piece it back together, the cracks remain. And every time you look into it, you see the damage. Now, Stoic philosophy teaches us something powerful here. We're not called to hate those who have hurt us, but we are called to protect ourselves, to honor our peace, to set boundaries not out of spite, but out of wisdom. When someone breaks your trust, whether through betrayal, lies, or repeated disrespect, they're not just making a mistake. They're making a decision to choose their own desires over your respect, to prioritize short-term gain over long-term loyalty. And that's not something you can just undo with a few words or tears. You may get apologies. You may hear, "I didn't mean to," or "it won't happen again." But here's what I've learned and what Stoicism affirms. Forgiveness without accountability is not healing, it's surrender. And what's worse than being betrayed once? It's staying long enough to be betrayed again, because now every moment becomes a question mark. You start second guessing, are they telling me the truth? Can I really believe them this time? That mental weight, that constant doubt, it's heavier than the original pain. Seneca once said, "He who spares the guilty punishes the innocent." When you keep giving chances to someone who broke your trust, you're not being kind. You're punishing yourself. And sometimes you're punishing the future people in your life who might actually deserve that trust, but now they're dealing with the wreckage left by someone else. So here's the truth. When trust is broken, the most powerful response is not revenge, it's release. Let go, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to walk away from what no longer respects you. Set your boundaries higher. Don't lower your standards just to keep the peace, because peace built on broken trust is an illusion. You owe it to yourself to move forward with clarity, not confusion, with self-respect, not regret. Because someone who truly valued the relationship would have never shattered it in the first place, the stoic path to emotional strength. So now we've come to the end of this journey, a journey through disloyalty, deception, and broken trust. And maybe as you listened, some names came to mind, some moments resurfaced. If they did, I want you to know that's not a setback, that's awareness, and awareness is where healing begins. Let me be honest with you, betrayal hurts deeply. But it's also one of the greatest teachers life gives us. It's not a lesson we ask for, but it's one we often need to grow, to protect ourselves, and to truly understand what we deserve. Not every apology deserves acceptance. Not every tear means regret. Sometimes people are sorry they got caught, not sorry they hurt you. And here's the hard truth. If someone chose to betray your trust, lie to your face, or break the bond you gave so freely, they've already told you everything you need to know about their values. Now it's time to ask, what are yours? Because in a healthy relationship, whether romantic, friendly, or familial, there is no space for betrayal to take root. Trust, loyalty, and truth are non-negotiables. And when those are gone, pretending it's all fine won't bring them back. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to burn bridges or become bitter. It simply reminds us that our peace is sacred, that we don't need to seek revenge. We just need to walk away, silently, clearly, and without looking back. That's power. It's easy to yell, easy to fight, easy to cling. But it takes a stronger soul to say, you know what, I deserve better. And I'm done. Because at the end of the day, you only get one mind, one heart, one life. And if you keep giving it to people who have already proven they don't value it, you're not just hurting, you're choosing to stay in the pain. Let them go, let the betrayal go, not for them, but for you. Because your peace, your dignity, and your self-respect are worth more than any relationship built on lies. You are not here to be someone's backup plan. You are not here to be manipulated, used, or disrespected. You are here to live with clarity, with purpose, with strength. So if you've been betrayed, don't carry that weight. Learn from it. Use it as a compass. Let it point you toward the kind of people and the kind of life that honors who you truly are.